One man who knows all too well about the price you can pay for war is Simon Brown from Morley. He spent 2 years rebuilding his life and his face after surviving being shot in the head in Iraq. I spoke to Simon yesterday and asked him to tell me his story.
Yeah, in 2006 I went out on a rescue mission, basically to recover 6 guys in a broken down vehicle. Me and my team got them out, under quite heavy fire, with the assistance of obviously the rest of the section. And unfortunately, on the way out, a sniper shot me through the face. Fortunately, I wasn't knocked out by the bullet, so I was able to sort of treat myself for 20-25 minutes till I got to the hospital. And then I was put to sleep and woke up 19 days later in Birmingham to the news that I'd lost my sight.
It's a horrific story. You went in, though, knowing that it could happen. This is the thing that I always find the most difficult thing to talk about with former soldiers, is that you know that it is war and bad things happen. Do you ever think it had happened to you, though?
No, you never go in with that intention, It's odd. The only thing you ever think can happen is you die. You never contemplate the fact you might get injured. It's quite black and white for us when we're doing the job. But you don't, it's not something you think about. You know the danger and you're aware of that. But at the same time, you've got a task to do, and that's what you focus your mind on.
Tell me, when you first got interested in the army and fighting for your country, when did that start?
Well, everyone plays soldiers as kids, though. It was like boys. I grew up with 2 brothers, so we were always fighting. It was like natural to us. But the army was a choice I made sort of later in life, when I'd closed nearly every other door to my future, and made things quite difficult for myself. And the army offered me a way out. It was a new beginning, a new start, new place. And I enjoyed it. I joined because I wanted to get away, and once I got into that rhythm, I joined a new family. I just didn't want to leave it.
And in terms of the difficulties you had, were you a rebel then? Were you fighting the world?
Yeah, without a clue. Not really. It's just I just squandered my time at school foolishly, and basically, without any education, there wasn't many decent opportunities available out there. So, and that's the way it went. It wasn't, I wasn't against anything. I didn't believe that, I wanted to fight the world. I didn't know what my options were, and I'd squandered any opportunities earlier on in my life.
Tell me about your time in Iraq and what that was like. Firstly, when you were sent over there, did you believe it was worth it?
I didn't really have any sort of political idea about it. I just did my job. He was a nasty man. He was doing bad things. Some people are glad he's gone, others aren't. It's their decision. I was over there in 2003 for the invasion, which was a completely different element. We were being cheered through the streets and everybody was happy to see us. And then when you're over there in 2006, they weren't unhappy they were there. They were just annoyed with all the fighting going on in the back garden, as anyone would be. And the whole attitude of the place had changed and the atmosphere was different. And again, it was once you actually feet are on the ground in the battlefield, it's not about Queen and country and what you're fighting for. It's about staying alive and keeping your mates alive.
I worked at BFBS Radio for a little while, and the few soldiers I got to know well, the thing that always amazed me was it was never personal. It was never about anything other than fighting for their Queen. And that's really the way they are. The politics of it has never been an issue for the boys, has it? It's all about doing the job you're asked to do.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point in pretending that we're fighting for a just cause or anything like that. We do a job, and that's what we're told to do. If we start getting our emotions and political views mixed up, we start making bad decisions.
Can I ask you about what it's like to be a soldier? And if any of this is too uncomfortable for you, please ask me to move on. I'm certainly not here to make you feel uncomfortable today. When you go out there to fight a war, there are going to be people you injure and kill. How do you feel about that at this point, bearing in mind the fact that you've been injured yourself?
Again, it was the people that I injured or killed were people that were trying to injure or kill me. That is something I'm proud of, and I know that I've never opened fire on somebody that's not shot at me first. And again, if they're combatants, if they're fighting us, then, they know the risks just as we know the risks. I feel for the guys who make a mistake, hit the wrong target, or someone's caught in crossfire. Because if it's an innocent, then it's a really bad feeling. But they're combatants. They know the risks just as much as we do, and again, it's not personal. It's survival.
But it is human life. I wonder how it feels to pull that trigger. Do you have a moment when you wonder, have I got the right person, or is there not time to think?
No, that before you pull the trigger, you have to know. You've got to be able to go to bed knowing that you didn't murder someone. So, and sometimes that second hesitation can be deadly, but at the same time, we're not trained to be killers. We're trained to be professional soldiers. And that extra second to make sure you're making the right decision can sometimes be the difference.
How brutal was it in Iraq? How much did you fear for your well-being and your safety day in and day out?
Again, it was something put to the back of my mind. It was vicious. The base I was at in the centre of Basra, we were attacked 3-4 times a day. There were sniper rounds landing in and around us sort of on a daily basis. You knew the danger and you were aware of the danger, but you weren't concentrating on it, if you know what I mean. It was, you put it to the back of your mind and focused on your task at hand. And that way, if you sat there panicking about getting hurt by everything that could hurt you out there, you'd never come out of a box, you know what I mean? You'd hide away. And we're there to do a job. We've got to remember that we're professional, and we've been paid to do what we're doing.
The day you got injured, how old were you in 2006?
I was 20. I just turned 28. My birthday was like 20 days beforehand. So
you're in prime fitness, you're at the peak of your life, and you go out there that day. Just an ordinary day, was it?
Yeah, just standard, same as every other sort of mission.
So you wake up that morning, and what happened?
We basically, me and another one of my crews had gone out to 2 patrols. We actually flipped a coin that morning to see who'd go with which patrol. When you sort of, your life is decided by little bits of fate, isn't it? So we flipped a coin. I won the toss. I said, right, I'll go with them. You go with that crew. And we went out, and let's say it's just standard Iraqi action, really. The insurgents spot us, have a bit of a fight, subdue the enemy, vehicle breaks down, go to recover it, and then all hell broke loose. Black Hawk Down was as described to me by one lad. And
is it fun when it goes right? I know that's not something that is comfortable to talk about, but it is a game, isn't it? You're playing a game to win. On a day when it's going okay, is there a great adrenaline buzz for the soldiers fighting the enemy? Oh,
there is. And I'm sad to say it myself, but there is some sort of buzz when you're in battle. When you're that close, when your life is in, you're talking about millimetres and milliseconds. And, there is that thrill. But at the same time, it's that thrill that gives you the energy. It gives you that extra bit of pace, extra sort of speed of thought, and that's what keeps you alive. So you do need that. If you took it quite lethargically, you'd be a liability to yourself and to your colleagues.
And then it all goes wrong. What happened?
Like I say, that I felt the hit. I knew I'd been shot. I just don't know why, but I knew. So I did the obvious thing, which was drop to a low position and cry out really loud. And then it was just a case of, right, what do I need to do to stay alive? And my mind and body just took over, sort of bandaging up my wounds, thumbing my mouth to hold my airway open so I could breathe, and just trying to relax, calm my heartbeat, slow myself down, don't go into shock. And, I had no idea of how damaged I was. So I knew that if I could just keep myself together, then I'd get a fix when I got back to the medical centre.
I watched those documentaries about the places that they come back to in the UK. You went to Birmingham, and they took care of you there. The face, though, is, for many people, the worst place to be injured, because it's something that people see every day. If you lose a leg, you can get a false leg and cover it up. How do you feel about that at this point? I mean, it's certainly changed your life. Has it ruined your life?
Not at all, no. It's strange. I mean, the scars don't worry me. The facial features are not something I worry about. It's the damage that's been done behind the face. The loss of one eye. 15% left in the other. No sense of smell. Again, that does have a detriment to your life. But I've looked back over the last couple of years at things I've done and achieved, and the people I've worked with and inspired and helped. If anything, it's possibly made me a better person. I certainly know myself better than I've ever known myself. And would I have my sight back in a second, but would I change what's happened over the last 4 years? Probably not.
Are you angry? Do you ask why me? Or have you come to terms with the fact that it's the price you've paid for defending your country?
It's the price I paid. As soon as I stopped looking for somebody to blame, I started feeling a lot better. And I think that was the key to my recovery, was stop blaming people, because, you know, he was there fighting for what he thought was right. I was there fighting for what I thought I was doing, and we all make our own decisions, don't we? I chose to be there. It wasn't like, you know, I wasn't a conscript, I wasn't forced to do anything. You know, it's the price you pay, it's a risk you take, and I'm still here. So, if anything, you know, I'm one up on a lot of people. 16
days unconscious whilst they were sorting you out. When was the first memory of being brought back?
I actually was aware of things during the coma. I just didn't know where I was, and I didn't know in what concept. I could hear voices that I recognised and people were there, but I just didn't know where and how. It was when I woke up and everything was explained, and it still took 2 or 3 days to sink in the actual impact and damage that had been done. And it was odd to actually come to terms with it, and for a long time I just believed, you know, that the doctors were wrong and I'd be okay. Doctors, unfortunately, are rarely wrong, are they?
And that first time that you were able to look in the mirror and see what they'd done to you, how did that feel?
That was about 6 months down the line. It was scary, and, you know, the scars were still red raw, and the damage. I mean, I've seen pictures of myself in the first couple of days, and, you know, it's like, you know, how did I survive that? How has that not killed me? Was the main thing. And then again, that was just a bit more impetus to get on with my life.
How are you sat here at this point, not bitter and angry and wanting to get your own back at them and the world?
Because I won't get any better. It won't fix my sight. It won't make my scars go away. It won't change anything. The only person I hurt by being bitter is me. So it's just a waste of my time.
And then, of course, your family get the phone call to find out that you're not well. There's only one worse call than that. But then they came to see you and saw how desperately ill you were. That must have been a terrible shock for them.
Yeah, I mean, they've talked about it, and when I talk about it to them, after a while, they were actually a lot stronger than I thought they'd be. They handled it a lot better than I expected, but they were the same way. It's happened now, it's done. We've got to rally round, and, you know, us feeling sorry for ourselves is not going to make him get better, you know, and they were strong for me when I needed them.
And in terms of partners and things like that, did you have a partner at the time when you went there?
No, I was single for a long time. Because of my job and what I did, I was just away so often that, you know, I didn't really have time for a relationship.
But in coming back and recovering, who was there to get you through that? Because it must have been emotionally devastating.
Well, there was my family around me. They helped out, and then it was a local rugby team, Morley Borough. I was friends with them all before I went out there, and they just came round all the time. And, you know, if I was sat at home sulking, they'd take me out, get me drunk, drop me at my dad's doorstep. And it was a case of they wanted to make sure I knew I was the same person, so that I could realise I was the same person. And just the whole community rallied round, and they used the term hero. You know, I was just doing my job.
Do you know, I was just going to say that as my next question. You're the epitome of a hero, but you've paid the price and your face tells the story of it. Is that still difficult, having to explain to people? Is this uncomfortable, me asking you these questions?
No, I've come to terms with it. Like I say, the hero thing, I was just doing my job. But if people want to use that to help them, inspire them, make them do something with their life, then, you know, it's not my right to take that away from them. And I'm just glad that I'm still about. I'm able to do stuff and I'm able to help people. There's no greater thing for me now than to see somebody else achieve and say thank you, because, you know, I've helped them.
I find that incredible, but you're a man in your early 30s. You've got the rest of your life to lead, hopefully 50 plus years. Where do you go from here? Where do you go emotionally? Where do you go in terms of your private life? Where do you go in terms of work?
I've retrained as an instructor. I do quite a bit of speaking for charities, after dinner, that sort of thing. I've done a bit of motivational work. You know, it's just finding things that I enjoy. Again, I've got a pension, so I'm not hard up. And I'm just trying to find things that make me feel good. and that's what I'm doing in my life. It's finding things that make me feel better, that help and helping other people is what makes me feel better. So that's the direction I want to take.
I read that you were given £400,000 compensation.
Yeah.
And dare I say you deserve every penny of it, because you went out there to defend us, and you did it, and you came back, and your life has been ruined by it. You've been able to turn a positive slant to that. I know there are a lot of people who couldn't do that. Where does your courage come from? Where does that fight inside come from?
I'm not sure. I mean, possibly, my family was bred into me. I grew up on a council estate in South Leeds. There was always fight there. There was always energy and battle. And then when you came back, and I could either, it's a fight or flight, isn't it? And I didn't want to run from it. So I decided to take it on. And by taking it on, I've beaten it. And I'm stronger for it. And it's just keep doing that every day. I'm here. I've got friends who are not. So, it'd be an insult to them if I didn't take advantage of my opportunities.
We can see the physical scars, although you look tremendous, certainly compared to what you did. Emotionally, how are you? Where are you at this point?
I'm in a good place. Things have gone my way in terms of, what I want to do and getting education and moving on with my life. I'm in a happy relationship, and things at the moment couldn't be much better than they are. I've got good friends around me. Let's say I've got a good partner, my family around me. There's nothing really that can be done to improve what's already a good life for me at the moment.
Was it worth it? Do you ever lie in bed at night thinking, why didn't I just go and work in McDonald's?
No, I don't, because I've got much more good memories than I have bad. And if it hadn't been me there that day, how many others could have been hurt or killed? And that's the way I see it. That it's not just about me, but it's what I've done in my life and what differences those things have made.
How well supported have you been by the government, by the army, and by your comrades?
My comrades in the army have been really good. The government have done what the government do. I got my compensation. I made a mutual decision to be discharged. So the army looked after me. The government weren't really involved. But
do you think your compensation was enough?
I've used it well enough for it to be enough. I think some of the injuries don't get paid enough. Some of the what appear to be minor injuries that aren't. But it's all what you do with it, isn't it? And as long as I think the pensions might need to improve for some of the young people, because when you're looking at 60, 70 years of your life where you might not be able to work, then that person needs a pension and the money to make sure they can live a good life, because they've earned it, they deserved it.
Why do you think the silence at 11 o'clock today and Remembrance Sunday is so important in 2010?
Because I think it's more at home now than it's ever been. Since the end of the Second World War, there haven't been as many families and communities damaged by conflict, and now that there are, I don't think there's many people now that can stand there with a 2-minute silence and not be able to think of somebody. So, it's more at home now than it has been since the end of the Second World War. And it's right that we remember these people, that they have made the ultimate sacrifice. And thank them, just bow your head and thank them.